Hey guys. So finally, the 7 trees, God's 7 trees in the wilderness. I like to call them God's 7 excellent trees. So here we go. Isaiah 41:19 through 20. I will plant in the wilderness the cedar, the acacia, the myrtle, and the oil tree. I will set in the desert the cypress tree and the pine and the box tree together, that they may see and know and consider and understand together that the hand of the Lord has done this, and the Holy One of Israel created it. Okay, so these are the 7 trees, and I'm just going to use the common names. I did the research on the Latin and the Hebrew and everything, but I'm just going to use the common name just to keep it easy, okay? Now, there's the cedar, which is a protector, provider, the acacia, which is afflicted and near to God, the myrtle, which is young and free, the olive, which is fruitful and healing, the cypress, which is worshipful and a team player, the elm, which is steady and sharing, the noble, which is productive and friendly. I think, after so much study, that each of these trees represents a type of Christian that God finds excellent. All are different. Each reach different types of people. Each survive in different types of circumstances. All drop seeds. All can be found in some variety on every single continent except Antarctica. And if you watched any dreams, you know there's probably not any good thing going on down there. And then God finds each of these trees worthy of being in the wilderness. So what I'm going to do is run through a little chart. You can screenshot these if you need to or whatever. I'm going to go as fast as possible because there's a lot of information to get through. So on the sticky notes that I'm going to read first, it's always going to be in the order of the Hebrew, then the Latin, then the common names or names in the Bible. Okay? So here we have the cedar. Ers in Hebrew, Cedar Ers conifera, cedars of God in the Holy Valley of Eden in Palestine. The soil information is right there. It's basically like well-drained soil. If it doesn't have good drainage, it's going to rot. The height of the tree is 100 feet. Here's the seasons in which it colors up. So we've got fall. So it's green year-round. It has color year-round. It drops seeds in fall and summer. Okay? The age that it begins bearing fruit is much later than a lot of other trees, though. It begins bearing fruit at 40. The maximum seed bearing is at 50, but it does continue through age 70. Okay. Now, the elements about this tree that are just kind of unique to this tree. White wood with no knots, steady growth, fragrance, repels termites and insects, very large, 80 to 100 feet wide, 100 plus feet high, very hard wood, used for purification in Israel's law, used in Solomon's temple and the house of the forest of Lebanon. The needles are 4-sided. It's green year-round. Its needles stay on the tree for 3 to 6 years. Cones come in 2-year cycles of development. Cones have a rainbow of colors, so aqua, yellow, green, purple, magenta, orange, gold, brown. Each cone has around 500 seeds. The average tree produces about 50 cones a year. Cones can be male or female and look quite different. And it provides food and shelter for many mountain animals. So your brain should be triggering off like, okay, there should be parallels here with Christianity. And you should be thinking to yourself, oh, I get it. Okay, plant seeds, around this age, it's very steady and sturdy, etc. Okay, so your mind should be triggering on these. When I'm giving you elements of the tree, you should be thinking, what are the parallels? Okay, so the acacia is the sita, acacia mimosa, locust tree, silver wattle, crown of thorns tree. Basically, it can handle really poor conditions in the soil. It's 100 plus feet high. It doesn't really care for high humidity. Green year-round, color for 3 seasons, seeds in fall and spring, flowers in winter and spring. Age to begin seed bearing is age 3. Maximum seed or fruit bearing is 50. Age that the seeds reduce is at death. So it continues on at that age 50. It just continues on at that stage. Okay, so we have dark, rich, smooth wood used of the Ark of the Covenant, very hard wood, Branches have thorns with bitter toxins for defense. If a plant senses a predator, it gives off an ethane gas to alert nearby trees that are 40 feet away so that it can survive. What? It's a tree. You're a tree. Okay, whatever. So it has a predator defense system that it can share with all the other trees. It can survive alone in the desert. If ants do not relieve the pressure through evacuating the nectars from the thorns, then the tree bark breaks open and then the gum comes out. It's called gummosis, and it looks like tears are falling out of the tree, like it's crying. The ants kill the bacteria that could harm the plant. It can handle extreme hot and cold. It's a producer of myrrh, which should ring a bell, a resin that weeps from the tree. Myrrh was used in burial and anointing of priests. It has showy white flowers that turn into bright yellow pom-poms. The seeds are long and sometimes curled with 9 to 18 seeds. The pods average 180 to 600 seeds per year. Lions rest on their branches. I love this. And the ant, which is probably the smallest thing, interacts with it in the most positive way. So it is with the kings and the giants, but it also is very humble, okay? The tree produces tannins used for leather making and fabric dye. The tree produces catechins, which are fabric preservers. The seeds are a source of foods in some parts of the world. So the seeds can be boiled into a coffee-like beverage. They're also used for cleansing baths, tightening skin, pain relief, stomach upset, sore throats, wound healing, oral hygiene. The gum is used to stabilize diabetes, cholesterol, IBS, and is also used in products like binders for watercolor paints, bandages, protecting photographs, and used in soft drinks, syrups, and candy. Now we have the myrtle. Haras, Lagerstroemeia indica, ester tree, crepe myrtle. Basically, it needs really rich, very well nitrogenated soil, grows only about 10 to 16 feet high, it has trouble with insects. It can kill the tree. Green only in spring and summer. Color is every season except winter. Seeds fall, flower. It flowers up in the spring. So it begins bearing seeds at the 3rd month. Its maximum is at age 5, and it continues at that stage until it dies. So it's a soft, flexible wood. Wood is used in Sukkot tents and in the Hebrew fall festivals. It is a shrub that can quickly be trained into a tree. It's susceptible to insect damage, disease, and early downfall. The bark is self-exfoliating or peels off. The cross-pollination from other trees. Flowers may differ from the genetic parent tree. If the plant is in the wrong season, it will have a short life and die. It needs frequent fertilizing. It needs regular watering, not too much shade. If there's too much shade, it will have low flower production. Flowers have 5 petals that symbolize grace, chastity, love, and prosperity. Flowers are white and then pink. It produces a dark berry type seed. The flowers are plentiful, 500 to 1,000 per branch. The most producing seed berries and flowers are often used in weddings. The pruned branches burn very quickly, and they don't even need to dry out like typical wood. It has waves of sprouts and suckers that need to be cut off regularly. And a tonic can be made from the tree to heal wounds, ulcers, UTIs, and digestive issues. Okay, the olive. Semen, Olea Europa, and the oil tree. It prefers sandy soil. It can handle loamy clay soil. It likes high minerals. It's a fruit tree. Its height is around 25 to 30 feet. It's green year-round, colors up everything except winter. The seeds are falling in fall and winter. The flowers are spring. Begins bearing fruit at age 3, but its maximum is 7, and it continues at that rate until death, but every other year usually. It's self-pollinating. The best fruit is produced from a grafted-in branch, not seed. Trees often produce blooms aggressively every other year. Fruit matures at different rates. It has a symbiotic relationship with the olive fly. It lays larvae, and good bacteria from the larva increases the fruit's nitrogen content and keeps the fruit disease-free and more weather tolerant. The tree produces olives, olive oil, medicines from olive leaf. The fruit of the olive tree is called a drupe, and after harvest it is brined in lye for 1 year before eating. Drupes have a stony center, like their heart is stony. 50 to 800 kilos of fruit, or 3,000 to 48,000 olives per year. A olive tree can live for 1,000 years. The tree is harvested by beating the limbs with a stick. The mature ones fall off. The grafted in branches are called buds. Okay. Then we have the cypress. Bros in bros in Hebrew. Cypressus sempervirens, Mediterranean cypress, the Isaiah tree. I thought that was kind of cool. Rich soil is what is needed. Needs to be fertilized. It has very shallow roots, and without others close to it, it can topple over in the wind. Its height is 80 feet. Color is green year-round. It does have other colors in winter and spring. The seeds fall in fall and summer. Begins its seed-bearing process at year 1, maximum at 10, and reduces this at never, until it dies. It continues the process. So this plant is interesting because it points upward toward heaven. It's mature cypress. It looks like the mature cypress, this big fat guy here, looks like 2 praying hands. The wood is considered very flexible. The branches are easily pruned and shaped. It does not flower, but the fruits and cones are small and abundant. They don't release the seeds unless there is abundant heat, and it is available like a forest fire or a very, very hot summer. Seeds keep for years in their original format unless it is heated, and then finally they come back to life. So the seeds are dropped, but you don't see a lot of maybe fruit from those seeds right away. Shallow root system, winds can easily topple the tree. Many cypresses together make a very strong windbreak, and they become strong together. Ancient pagans used this to mask the smell of cremations, oils used in essential oils, and natural medicines currently. Okay, the elm tree. We have Cedar, ulmus elm, pine, and white elm. Now, this is confusing because everyone thinks, oh, it's a pine tree in the text, but actually when you dig into what the Latin name is and what they connected to that to, they just used to call an elm tree a pine tree back once upon a time. Okay, so soil preference. So clay or loamy soil, fertilize in the spring when it's a baby, but basically once it gets to be really rooted, it doesn't really need a whole lot. 100 feet high, very sturdy, sticky wood. Green in spring and summer. The colors are in fall and spring. The seeds are dropped in fall and summer, and the flowers are in fall and spring. The age it begins to drop seeds is 15. The maximum seed fruit bearing is 45. It finally starts reducing its fruit bearing at 125. It's a strong and dense waterproof wood, but with age, the tree bark self-etches what looks like angels. Very pretty, very shady trees with lots of variety of color year-round. Produces pinky purple flowers. It has seed pods called samaras. The light green pod has a pinkish tone in the center between the paper and the thin pod is one single seed per pod. The pod, when released from the tree, has a helicopter action and spreads far from the tree. It drops 100 to thousands of seeds depending on the maturity of the tree. Leaves turn a bright yellow in the fall, resists rot, disease, and damage from insects very well. The wood has been used for ages as ship keels. That's the big, huge bottom part of the ship that kind of holds the entire boat together because of its sticky nature and because of how dense it is, but it's very floatable. Used to make archery bows, coastal piers, furniture, and musical instruments. It's considered a firm and enduring tree. All right, then we have the noble tree. That's our last one. Tasur, Abies, Procera, the noble fir tree, or the box tree in the KJV. All right, so the soil preference. It likes acidic, well-drained soil. It only needs minerals if it's showing deficiency. Diseases can attack it. It's just not that common, really around 100 feet high. Green year-round, color only in spring and summer, and the seeds drop in the fall. Begins to drop seeds at age 20. Maximum is 50, and it continues on that path until death. It's a soft gummy wood. Wood is white. Branches point upward towards heaven. Produces many small pine cones. Pine needles are hockey stick shaped and scooped. After fertilization, it takes the year 2 years to bring one cone to the maturation before it will drop any seeds. 42% of the trees only produce 10 cones per year, but there are trees that have maximum cone production recorded that can drop 3,000 cones per year. Each cone has 500 plus seeds. The wood is usually used for musical instruments, spears, lances, ship decks, and flooring. Many animals, birds, and insects graze, have shelter, or survive on this tree. Okay, so here is a chart that shows the heights of the trees together. Obviously, the height is not the element that the Lord is like, oh, this is hyper important. You need to pay attention to this. Because the myrtle and the olive really aren't that tall. Neither is the cypress. I mean, yes, the cedar, acacia, elm, and noble are very tall. But so that cannot be the element that we need to pay attention to as, oh, these are the important trees because they're the tallest. That's not it. We look at the age they start dropping seeds. That has quite a wide variety. So that can't be it. So we look at all these different things. Just take a little glance down. We have cedar, acacia, myrtle, olive, cypress, elm, and noble. And all of these woods are actually the lightest color heartwood for its type of tree. So there's different varieties among each, kind of tree, of course. So in the wood color, the same is true. It's the lightest, whitest color of that variety of tree. Then the wood texture, also very mild, very calm grain of the wood grain. And the odors are all very calm or none, except for the cypress, which is a distinct spicy smell, and the olive, which has a fruity smell, and the cedar, which I think is kind of romantic, has a sweet smell, because that's considered to be the holy tree, right? Okay, then we have the Janka rating. Janka rating is found by taking a 2 by 2 by 6 block of dried wood and pressing a steel ball into it. The pounds per square inch, or PSI, needed to make a dent into the wood is the Janka rating. I learned about this when we were getting flooring one time. And so basically, when the pressures of life come, what's going to dent this wood? Okay, think about it that way. So we see that the acacia and the olive are super strong and almost, hard, very difficult to make an impression in. But actually, if you look at the cedar, the myrtle, the cypress, the elm, and the noble, those are actually, besides the noble, they're all fairly hard woods compared to like other woods. So here are some other woods to consider. Here are the different Janka ratings. Then we have this, which is the density and the weight. Now, the weight of the wood is measured in pounds per cubic foot of dried wood. So here are the measurements. And then the wood density is measured with the same dry wood, and it's dropped into water, and they measure how high or how low it floats. So everything under 100 floats, and everything over 100 sinks. Here are a few different trees to compare. Now, there's over 2,300 different types of trees. This does not include all of their varieties. Some of them have over 2,000 varieties, and I don't think it's any accident that God chose these specific 7 trees and saw these as the excellent trees to be planted in the wilderness, okay? So here's their different colors kind of laid out together. And of all the trees, look at the colors that are available in all sorts of different kind of wood. And then let's look again at these, how they're all mild colors. Now, when these woods are taken and they're turned, that's what they call it, they're polished up and shaped into things. This is what each of the woods look like when they're turned in the same order that I've been going through the whole time. So when you look at this, you can see how absolutely gorgeous every single one of them are, even though they're completely different from one another. But when they're shined and given their best look, and it's kind of like if you think about the potter, or you think about God shaping us and polishing us up, this is how they each look in their best form. So I think that's really neat. Okay, so let's look at a quick application. The color of wood, I think, testifies the fact that it's the lightest of each variety, testifies, I think, to the purity of a faithful Christian. I think the Janka rating shows the strength of a faithful Christian, even though they can still be shaped or they can still be flexible. They're still very firm trees. The weight and the density I see as paralleling Christianity as like the Word and Jesus are the water, and wood that is dropped into water. If the wood floats, then that would be like the Christian or the person that's not a Christian is above the Word. They don't need the Word to survive, they say. The wood that sinks to the bottom, that would be likened to the water overtakes them. It's just too much. They can't understand it. They can't take it in. And the one that just floats in the middle, this is likened to me to like the Word keeps them afloat. They take it in and it keeps them being buoyant through life. Okay. Now you may strongly associate with the traits of one tree. You may not. You may strongly associate and say, well, when I was younger as a Christian, I feel like I really associate with this tree, but now I associate with that tree. That's okay. If you really have no clue and you're like, I don't really see the parallels, I don't see where you're going with this, I have another video out that's called Which Tree Are You? And that video is more of an application video, taking scriptures and integrating and taking, kind of my personal testimony of which trees I felt like through life. And I felt like this might help other people to understand which tree they might be. Okay. So if you're not really dialed in and you don't really see the parallels, like I don't see how I'm a tree, then consider watching that. So I hope the Lord blesses you and keeps you and makes his face to shine upon you. Have a great day.